Hi, welcome to Shoreline Painting. Thanks for watching. Today we're going to be going through how to operate a paint sprayer. This is a very easy piece of equipment to run as soon as you get a few steps. You can just remember the 4-step process of operating this equipment. You have the power, you have the pressure, you have the primer, and you have the trigger. Those 4 steps will help you operate this piece of equipment. And it really is simple to use. It has great applications. You could use this on your exterior, on your interior, on your fine finish. You could use it on your kitchen cabinets. So let's jump into it and we're gonna walk you through. So as we get into how to operate your paint sprayer, the first thing I want you to do, and I really want to address this if you've never used this piece of equipment before, is make sure that you are off. Make sure that your power is off before you plug in, before you do anything else, because there are a few steps that you have to take before you turn this piece of equipment on. If you don't do this properly, I want to reiterate, you can cause damage to the equipment. So make sure your power button is off before you plug your machine into a power source. Now you can plug your equipment in. And from there, we're going to go over to the pressure gauge. And all these pressure gauges, when they come new, I mean, they might get covered in paint over time, but when they come new, are going to have a description as to where that dial needs to be. Before you've turned on your equipment, before you've hit the power button and turned it on, you're gonna want to turn this all the way down to primer slow. So what happens is once this tightens, I have no pressure. So this won't work unless I turn this dial. So the first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna turn this dial all the way to the left and make sure that we're closed. Go all the way off, pressure off, okay? When you're using your pressure gauge, make sure that you refer to your particular sprayer that you've purchased. Not every sprayer is gonna be the same, so just make sure when you purchase and you go use this dial, you're paying attention to the wording that's on there, because every sprayer is gonna have its own unique turning and dial. So we've talked first about your power, then we went to your pressure. Now we're over here in your primer setting. So at this point, you'll have your fluid assembly put into your paint, and you're gonna turn this into prime. Down, now this is on every single sprayer, down is going to be prime. So I wanna reiterate what's gonna happen is paint will be coming out of this primer valve. You can actually see I got a little fluid from when we cleaned it earlier, but fluid will begin to come out of this primer valve. So as I turn this down and my power's on, as I turn this, and there is still the prime setting, you're going to have fluid coming out of here. That's a good thing. That means that you have paint coming through your fluid assembly, up and out. That means that your piece of equipment is in full operation. Once you've turned your pressure up and you've gotten fluid from your primer assembly, you're gonna turn the primer assembly down. So we're not going to use the gauge going up and down. You're going to turn it off from this dial. This is your full operation of if you have pressure or if you don't. So as soon as you turn it up, we have fluid coming out of the assembly, turn it right back down. So now that we've gotten to the point where the paint has been primed through the assembly, we've turned our pressure down, we are going to turn our primer assembly into spray mode. So this arrow, if it's going down, indicates that I'm priming, which means that I'm pulling fluid into the assembly. This indicates I'm ready to spray. I'm telling my equipment I am ready to pull the trigger and I'm ready to get paint. So if I could give you a general rule of thumb of where I like to be on my pressure, I would say halfway is a really good starting point, and then working your way up from there. Usually when you go below halfway, you're gonna get sometimes orange peel or kind of a weird finish because you're not getting enough pressure. You know, it really is just gonna be all about how you turn the dial and how it feels to you. You're gonna know as soon as you pull that trigger, oh, I have too much paint or I don't have enough. So you have to go off feel. There is some type of critical thinking as you get into this process. So don't be afraid to have a test area. Sometimes I like to take cardboard and I'll test my spray pattern on the actual cardboard. Oh, I need a little bit more pressure, turn it up. I have too much, turn it down. So do what's comfortable, because you have to be comfortable, because this trigger is going to be in your hand for a couple hours or whatever the project might be. So make sure it feels good to you and make sure you like the results that you see. So now that we've gone through the power, the pressure, and the primer, we're at the point where we have switched from primer to finish. So now we're ready to spray. We've adjusted our pressure to where we want it. I like to start halfway, work my way up. And now you have to have your gun ready. So make sure you have your guard and tip assembly on hand, what you want to use. So I'm set up for kitchen cabinet painting with a 310. a fine finish. If I was doing an exterior application, it would probably be a different tip, more like a blue 413. So just make sure you have your desired guard and tip with you ready. But you're gonna take this off at this point because you need to get the fluid through your sprayer. I don't want to do that through my tip because what happens when you use these tips and you use them unnecessarily, the ends or the orifice that they call them, they have a tight radius. So what happens, the more you use them, the wider they get. And we call those in the industry blown out tips. So if you use them too much, they begin to become bigger than what you've actually purchased. So they do have a life. You can't use these forever. You might get 10, 15, 20 uses. So I don't want to pass my fluid through this unnecessarily. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to find myself whatever you want. Go into your garage, find a dirty 5-gallon bucket if you're just at home, or if you are a professional, you know, grab your cut can. And you're gonna actually face this into your cut can and you're gonna spray your fluid into the can, making sure that you're not shooting it randomly or in different areas. And as you're pulling your trigger, you're gonna hear this guy going off. And you're gonna know it's working. And eventually you're gonna see that paint come out in a perfect stream. Once you have paint, let go of your trigger, put your guard on, make sure your guard is assembled and tight. And everything that you've purchased inside of your brand new Graco guard and tip should have everything you need with directions. They'll walk you through it, and it's very simple. So apply your guard and you're ready to paint. That's operating a sprayer, the 4-step process of operating your sprayer. Very simple. So for any project you need to use it on, now you can do it. So I hope this video was helpful today. If it was, if you could please hit the like button, it would help us out. And if you want to see future videos, hit the subscribe button. We have so much more content coming in the future, and we have so many other videos that can help you. And if you want to leave a comment or you want to see a video, whatever you want to see, do you want to see us teach you how to mud? Do you want to learn how to use a brush properly? Leave it in the comments and we'll try to follow up with how-to videos, and can't wait to see you in the future.